evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show in which a lie is just the truth with a little bit of pizzazz. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dog Cat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday, tempestuous Thursday. I seem to have a very limited vocabulary when it comes to thinking of T words to put alongside Thursday when I do that, but there you go. There you go. I hope everybody's doing well this evening, this beautiful Thursday evening. So a couple of things to go over before I get into the wonderful world of things. First and foremost, if you have not already, you might want to do so now. I'm going to be talking for a second so you have some time. If you refresh the YouTube page and down in the description, there is a link to a Discord. Yes, I have created a Discord for the channel. It is an experiment. I don't know how long I'll maintain it. We'll see if it becomes some kind of like cumbersome thing or some kind of drama bomb. I'll just move on. But thanks to Dave's Lemonade and Miranda, one of Dave's moderators, I have been peer pressured into attempting a Discord for the channel. So if you click the link below, it's only good for 12 hours. So if you're not watching this within the first day or so of it me being broadcast, you'll have to wait for the next show to get a link to it. But if you use the link, you have to say the secret word on the channel you land on to get access to the rest of the Discord. And the secret word tonight is going to be Bernie, because Bernie was the winner, so to speak, of the TEDx bingo card poll that took place on Twitter today. There was, I forget her name, the lady who was the one that faked being a 9/11 victim. Then there was Bernie Madoff, and then there was Clifford Irving, ABC, and B1, Bernie. And tonight's bingo card is bingo card B. So yes, Bernie is the secret word, the secret password to get into the Discord. Now, either I or one of my trusty moderators will see that you get access if you go to the Discord and just put into the little channel you get access to there and say, Bernie. There you go. So there's that. Also, before I go any further, I want to thank Jamie Melquist specifically for recommending this particular TEDx to me as an idea for this series, Superpowers Month, a couple of weeks ago. And so I didn't know that this existed until she said so. So thank you, Jamie. But with all that out of the way, who's joining me for this adventure into conflabulation? Sure, what is it? Keeverdam, hello. Derek LaRue, hello. Jaeger Pony, hello. Let's see, I got to get this right now. His Royal Funkiness of Eternal Undead Disco, hello. Let's see, and who else is it? Mike R, hello. Advocatus Diaboli, hello. Chicago Mike, hello. Somnamnul Nation, hello. And then chat jumped because, of course, it did. Miranda Stone apparently gasped. Well, I suppose whatever works for you. And I'll get to the super chats in a second. Thank you guys so much. Who else is here? Attack Alpaca, hello. Jose Chacon, hello. Lesser Logic, hello. And then chat jumped again. Simon Willikins, hello. Shadowclaw, hello. Pissed Off Shih Tzu, hello. Bridget, hello. And did I miss anybody? I'm afraid I always fear that I missed somebody. If I missed you, if you're lurking, if you're in the future, hello. But let me get to those super chats real quick before they disappear off of my screen. First and foremost, thank you again, as always, Derek LaRue, so much for your continued generosity and support. I really, really, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And as well, thank you, Keeverdam, off work today due to a snowstorm. I mean, yay, no work, but also massive inconvenience and possible other complications. But hey, silver lining. I'll take that. So I'm glad you have the day off. Hope you're relaxing as much as you can. And Roger Reynolds, hello. And Keldrig, hello. Anybody else right off the bat that I can see that I didn't? Angelverse, hello. I think I got everybody that I saw. If I missed you, I apologize, and I'll try to give some more shout outs as time goes on. But yes, bingo card tonight is bingo card B. And tonight, this may be an actual, educational, interesting TEDx. I have my fingers crossed because I actually find the whole Conman thing fascinating. If you've ever watched the series American Greed, there's morbid curiosity about how all this stuff works. And it is certainly after Bernie Madoff, the prevalence, at least the newsworthiness of exposed Ponzi schemes and things like that. And most especially in recent months, if you look at certain cryptocurrency schemes and scams and NFTs and so on, suckers born every minute. And apparently a lot of suckers have a lot of money they're willing to dump on things without a whole lot of due diligence. But so I'm excited about this one. I think this might actually be a genuinely interesting and educational TEDx rather than the usual train wrecks. But of course, I've said that before. I've been hopeful before, and I've been disappointed. So I guess we'll find out together. Ceradamantine, hello. I think, all right. Okay. Got to get my goodbyes. Good now. Hellos out of the way. Goodbyes are for later. So with any, all right. I'm going to get my brain on straight here. Pepper Jack, you my only friend. All right. So anyway, this one starts at, let's see, 1824. This is a long TEDx. Let's get right into it. I'll start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it. Oh, and before I forget anything else, top of the chat box, if you take a look, Kiever Dam has helpfully provided the links to the fundraisers for our friends Moonshock and Angry Illinoisian. If you guys have a couple of bucks to spare for them to help out with some medical problems they've encountered, very much appreciated. If you can't donate, and that's perfectly acceptable, of course, if you could share those links out on social media, that would also be appreciated. Okay, now that I have my brain on straight, I think, let's start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and then we'll proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I start, oh,
we got a Brit in Berlin. There's some historical context in there somewhere. Let's see. You guys hear that all right? Let me know. Good levels, it says Letzer Logic. Sounds good, says Kiever Dam. All right. Well, with that, let's go.
I would quite like to use you all to try a little something. So I need both your hands free for this. So
that's what I usually say to women. I need to use you for something. I'll need your hands free. Well, actually, the hands free part is optional depending on the circumstances.
If you're holding your mobile phone or a pen, taking notes or a drink or something, just put it down. I need both your hands to be free. Now, everybody take part. Even if you're at the back, I can still see you. So hold your hands out in front of you like this. I appreciate you might be holding them outside the ears of the person sitting in front of you. This might get a little tricky. Twist your wrists so your palms are facing outwards. Good. Now put your right hand over your left. This is where we get to find out who knows their right from their left. Always a couple of people readjusting.
That looks suspiciously suspect depending on context, but okay.
Clasp your fingers together and point your thumbs to the floor. Just like this lady's doing right here. Excellent work. Now, there's about 1,000 of you in here, so this should be interesting. If you can't do what I'm about to do, you all owe me €1. Now, euro being roughly equal to £1 with the dreadful state of Brexit, I should do well in this back in the UK. So 3, 2, 1, twist your wrists so your thumbs are pointing to the ceiling. No? No one?
Well, you change the...
Who says crime doesn't pay, eh? It's all right. You can put your hands down.
Okay.
Don't break anything. It's fine.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
My name is Alexis Conran, and as
Alexis Conman? Did he say Alexis? Wait. Did I get fooled? The superpowers of a con man? Is his last name Conman? Did I miss that? Have I been tricked?
Stefan mentioned earlier, all of today, we have been looking at the superpowers. And when I say superpowers, we all think of Superman. We think of the good guys.
Well, yeah, I've been doing superpowers all month. That's kind of the theme. Wait, was there an actual TEDx series that was actually superpowers? Oh, okay.
I'm going to talk to you about the bad guys. And I think there's a lot we can learn by studying their superpowers, because their superpowers are pretty damn cool.
Well, as they say, or at least as I say, God may be all-powerful, but the devil's a better dresser.
I'm going to talk to you specifically about the superpowers of the conmen. What do I mean by conmen? Non-violent criminals, grifters, hustlers, scam artists. And what is their superpower? Well, their superpower is that using the right words asking the right questions, and putting people in the right situation, they get those people to do exactly as they're told.
Okay, so is that why the whole hand thing at the beginning was there? Is that it? Because if he doesn't draw a line between that and his presentation, I don't know what square on the board that might fit. But anyway, like I say, I'm looking forward to this one.
Pretty cool superpower, you must agree. People have been known to hand over cash, cars, houses, credit card details, bank details. Their entire life savings or their life savings of their corporations have gone to scrupulous con men using the superpowers we are about to talk of.
Ooh, I sense a list is coming at some point.
Now, I've spent 20 years of my life as a professional deceiver. In fact, people may argue even more than that because I started off as an actor, still deceiving. Then I became a magician, very much deceiving. And then I did a show on the BBC called The Real Hustle. We did over 100 episodes. It was sold all over the world. And I wrote and performed, along with my co-stars, over 500 scams and scammed people all over Europe and America. And that has taught me a few things. Number one,
that would be the start of a list. So going to the bingo card real quick. Let's go over that. Circling a list. Remember, it's bingo card B in the description, everybody. I'll go over the bingo card one time to make sure we know what we're listening for. Anecdote that probably never happened. Well, with a guy that's telling us about being deceitful and everything, it's entirely possible. Self-vilification or wretchedness. Well, he already called himself a criminal, didn't he? That might count. I'll think about that one. Systemic institutional. Weightless example. I'm still waiting for him to bring the hand jive exercise at the beginning around again. Word salad, leaves out vital context, collectivizes own demographic, white supremacy, I'd be surprised, but you never know, privilege, sales pitch for product or service, I guess we'll see, plays victim, attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase, wage gap, patriarchy, feminism, mind reading or assumes motives. I think that might be intrinsic to his entire spiel, but we'll see. Diversity, equity, and or inclusion, marginalized or marginalization, argumentative non sequitur, childhood or family anecdote, contradicts own point or argument. If his argument is con men are bad, I don't think he's going to have a whole lot of room to maneuver there, but we'll see. Benevolent condescension, and lastly, microaggressions or unconscious bias. We might be able to hit that last one there by implication, if nothing else, but I guess we'll find out. So far I have circled a list, and just for the heck of it, circling free space. So let's continue.
Magic is exactly the same as sales. It's exactly the same as scams. And it's exactly the same as politics.
I was obsessed with magic and magicians and everything when I was a kid. I was like just crazy about reading up on Harry Houdini and so many. I did like class projects on magicians and all types of stuff, and I'd try to learn magic tricks and things. Didn't keep it up, the hobby that is, much longer than the first, maybe through elementary school or so. But I've always been fascinated by magicians and stuff. When that series came out back in the 90s, like Magician's Secrets Revealed or whatever on Fox, I couldn't help but watch every episode. I just wanted to know. I just couldn't help wanting to know how the tricks were done. Oh, well.
They're all in one big bucket, folks. Why? Because it all boils down to the same thing. What are they selling? They're selling a story.
Yeah.
It's a story and a narrative that they want you to buy into. Now, I'm not saying they're all crooked. I'm not saying they're all criminals. But they're all trying to do the same thing. They're trying to sell you on a story to get you to buy into their narrative.
Well, now, even though this isn't the direct subject of the talk, you could as well apply all of this to, I don't know, let's say diversity, equity, and inclusion. The
second thing I found out is that the good politicians, the good magicians, the good salespeople, and the great con men have all got one thing in common. They know us better than we know ourselves. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story. This happened early on in my magic career, and I learned something very, very interesting. I was hired to do a wedding. And I brought my deck of cards to do this wedding. Now, I have to tell you, it was very, very early on in my career, and I was very, very impressed by the amount of money that I was being paid. So I was a little bit nervous, and I wanted to do a good job. Now, traditionally in these things, you go around, you do card tricks, you do all sorts of other tricks involving things that a grown man shouldn't really be seen with, like sponge balls and giant cards and chains and all sorts of paraphernalia.
Now, you see, I've noticed something of myself right now. I'm not pausing to say much because I'm actually listening to someone who's an expert in something, talking about something that they're interested in and passionate about, and know something about what they're talking of. Know something about, okay, anyway. I think we may have found, guys, after a long, long time, an actual good presentation, interesting, captivating presentation, or my brain isn't being thrown off course every 5 seconds by something that's being said, but time will tell. I think the only other time that we've encountered this, for those of you who are veterans of the channel, may have been the asparagus spinal column repair TEDx, which wasn't so much a TEDx as it was sort of a professionally put together promotional video that I did with Ranting Monkey that one time long, long ago. But hey, I'll take it.
But the tradition is that you leave the lead table till last. So the people who've paid you, or the guests of honor, till last. In this case, the groom who had hired me for entertainment for his wedding, and the bride. That was the top table.
Yes.
Now, the trick that I had designed was my sort of pièce de résistance of the time, was an effect where I would go and get somebody to pick a card, the groom in this case. He would return it, and after a little bit of byplay, a little bit of showmanship, that card would be found in a sealed envelope inside my wallet. Pretty impressive trick, right?
If I have one criticism, because I'm trying to look for something here, is it really that difficult of an argument to make that con men are bad, or that con men fool people for a living? I guess I'll have to wait and see where he goes with this, because it seems like you're kind of pushing at an open door when you come out on a stage and say, let's talk about the powers of the con man. Unless he's going to tell us like specific tricks or things, or talk about specific con jobs and things. I guess we'll see.
So I walk up, he takes a card, he puts it back in, and I screw up. I don't know what card he picked. I also don't know where that card is. I know it's in here, but that's not much help. So what do? I keep talking. Very good at talking whilst thinking about something else. So I'm talking and talking and thinking, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And of course I'm thinking, he's not going to pay me. He's just not going to pay me. Why would he pay me? I'm a rubbish magician. Why would he hand over money to a rubbish magician? I have ruined this man's wedding. So, this is what I did. And I'm going to show you exactly what I did. A gentleman in the front, you're going to be the groom. You stay where you are. So,
maybe it's just my pedigree after having done so many of these, but this all feels like padding and stalling. I'd like to get to the presentation or the argument. This is an anecdote I can believe happened, so it's not that score things, but yeah.
So you've taken a card out, you've put it back in, we've shuffled it, I've lost it because I'm useless, and I said, okay, tell me what card you picked. Now, name any card. Ace of heart or 8? Ace of hearts. Now, what you'll find is very, very interesting is that if I give you this deck and you were to go through it and look at it, right, and even if you gave it a shuffle, right, it doesn't really matter, because actually before I came to your table, before I walked on the stage here, I put one card away and I put it here in my back pocket. And it was the Ace of Hearts. Okay? Ooh, I know.
Ooh, yeah.
Stop the clapping. I do it for cash. It's much better. Now, let's think about what happened. This is the world's worst card trick, and I'll tell you why. He picked a card, put it back in, we shuffled. Then I asked him what the card was, looked through the deck, used a little bit of sleight of hand to sneak it out of the deck, put it in my pocket, and take it back out again.
Yes.
That's what you've just witnessed. I thought to myself, there's no way this guy is going to give me money for this. That is the kind of card trick that a 4-year-old would do, not a professional, highly paid magician. So I finished the rest of my act to a smattering of polite applause, and I do what all magicians do if you watch them. We sneak off to the bathroom, into the cubicles, to reset everything, to put everything back in the right pockets, everything where things go, all of that kind of stuff. And as I was in the cubicle, to my horror, the groom and his best man enter the bathrooms. And to even more my horror, what are they talking about? The best man said, "Did you see the magician?" And I'm sitting there thinking, no.
See, I'm kind of afraid of not at least interrupting occasionally, because so far I'm just watching the presentation, which is a very engaging presentation, certainly. But again, the story's going on so long, there's not really much of a presentation. And if I don't interrupt occasionally, I can't really claim this to be as much of commentary and criticism. And there's also the possibility of some kind of content claim, strike, or otherwise. So that's why partially I'm interrupting here, but also because part of my mind, and maybe this is just, again, my training having done so many of these TEDx talks, part of my mind is going straight into Monty Python territory with, get on with it.
Do I really need to listen to this right now? But this is what happened. The groom said he was amazing. He came over to the table, I thought of a card, and he was in his pocket. And that taught me two things. Number one, for anybody who performs or who's on stage, speaking, doing magic, whatever, never tell an audience what you are about to do. Had I walked up to that table and said, the card that you're thinking of will be in a sealed envelope in my wallet, I would have been toast, because that was never going to happen. Right? Second, and most importantly, and this is where I want to talk to you a little bit more about, I realized he fooled himself.
Yes.
He lied to himself. That's not what he witnessed. What he witnessed was an incompetent magic trick. But what he believed was a miracle. So magic and sales and scams and political beliefs all happen in the mind of the spectator.
Indeed.
And we do it all the time. We lie to ourselves all the time to fit our narrative. How many of you in here have lied to yourself for a purchase you made? Something you didn't really need, but you've convinced yourself that you want to buy it.
And we've seen this on parade over and over and over again, and several other things I've looked at when it comes to trying to sell old bad ideas as new and virtuous ways of thinking. So yes, he's absolutely correct.
Loads of people. Loads of people. So coming back to that, if we are lying to ourselves, and having done all these scams, I started to realize, what things do they have in common, these scams? And I started realizing there's 5 basic principles of persuasion.
Oh my gosh, there's just so many lists in this thing.
Number 1, misdirection.
Yeah.
The trick I played on you in the beginning with the hands, right? I can't do that with my wrists. You still all owe me €1, by the way. You're not getting out of that. I'll be collecting by the door. I can't do that with my hands, but I needed a moment of misdirection. And that moment was when I pointed right here. It gave me a chance to disengage my hands and re-engage them in a different way.
Yeah, and it was entirely obvious to me, but then again, I guess I had the privilege of being able to see it and not be in the audience.
Right? Misdirection is used all the time in scams. Pickpockets use misdirection all the time because pickpockets need to invade your space, right? And they need to have an excuse to invade that space. Incidentally, where would you find a pickpocket? Right next to the attention pickpocket sign. Why? Why? Because when you see that sign, you do this, right? To see if your stuff's still there. But what you've done is you've identified where your valuables are to a watching pickpocket.
Yeah, that's why I always avoid those little memes on Facebook and Twitter and so on that says, they give you a chart and it says, it's got 3 columns. It's like, take the day of the month that you were born. Here's the month that you were born, and here's the year you were born, or something like that. And what's your ancient dragon name, or what's your wizardly world name, or something like that. And I always either never do those things, or I throw in something that's completely random if I'm going to do it at all, which kind of defeats the point, because you're effectively or conceivably giving away someone to someone your birth date, which isn't necessarily the worst possible thing, but it is a piece of information that someone could conceivably put together with other things, and so on and so forth.
It works. Next up, we've got time pressure. Putting people under pressure makes them make mistakes. Okay, It's a genuine sales technique. How many of you have bought things on Black Friday or whatever they call it now, and Cyber Monday, and I don't know, Tremendous Tuesday is going to be the next one?
Yeah, fear of missing out. That's what it's called now, and that's what the term the kids are using these days when it comes to crypto and just about anything really. But yeah, fear of missing out, or FOMO, as they say.
Bought stuff that you don't need. Why? Because the sale's going to end. It's much easier to manipulate people when they're acting under pressure than if you give them time to examine the facts. Mm-hmm. Also, we have opportunity. Now, in the scamming world, we call this the good deal syndrome, right? Everybody likes something for nothing. Here's a terrible example of one of ththose old 419 scams, the emails where they ask you to move money into your account, and the killer phrase is they're going to give you 20% of that money if you do what they ask you to. Now, you see this email, and this is a particularly bad one. I mean, if you look at the email address, mao.gov.my, where the hell is that from? That probably will go straight into your filter, your spam now.
Yeah.
But the same exact deal from this guy sounds a bit more attractive. That's Bernie Madoff.
Hey, Bernie. I imagine that he'd bring up some famous con artists eventually, and so here you go, Bernie Madoff. Yes, the story of Bernie Madoff is both incredible and stupid at the same time once you start digging down into the details of exactly what he was doing. And what he was doing was nothing. Ultimately, he was doing nothing. He was printing out fake pieces of paper of reports and giving them to people, and he just took money. That's it. That was how complex his scam was. That's really how it was. It was nothing. A lot of people involved for nothing.
He wears an expensive suit and has an expensive cigar. He offers the same deal, but if it's from him, you might think about it.
Now, you see, on that same coin, or the other side of that coin, I should say, I made a comment similar to this, or related to this, a couple of months ago when the whole FTX thing happened. And we all got to meet Sam Bankman-Fried. And you see this picture of this schlubby, millennial yuts. And I remember saying on Twitter something to the effect of, I could kind of understand someone putting some faith or credibility into someone like, say, Bernie Madoff or Mark Dreyer, or one of these guys who really carries themselves as a professional who knows what they're doing and so on. I could kind of understand falling for someone's scam that looks like that and composes themselves like that. But why would anybody trust millions and billions of dollars with that schmuck? Yeah, that one I still don't understand that one.
Right? We love a good deal. We love getting something for nothing. The last two are probably the most important. Social compliance. The idea that we respond to badges, uniforms, right? This picture here, that says authority to you, right? Security, high-vis jacket. What you're actually looking at is a man with a costume on. Mm-hmm. Right? But you ascribe responsibility. You ascribe some sense of authority.
Is this going to turn into a sovereign citizen argument?
And to be honest with you, we have to do that. And if we don't do that, our society will grind to a halt. Imagine every time you dealt with an official, you had to find out their whole life story to find out if they really are an official.
Okay, he's very engaging. He's very charming. He's got a very good rapport with the audience. When do we get to the meat of this? Telling me that there are people who lie and that our perceptions of reality can determine our behavior even without all the evidence or being able to read someone's mind and so on. Okay. And I mean, we're 3/4 of the way through this talk. This is going to go real quick because there's not much here so far. When do we get to this part of things? Or maybe this is one of those things, sort of like that article that I read one time on Lords of the Night with Sinatra Says. He says, like, I read the article and I thought it was so elementary and, politics 101. And Sinatra said a very, very poignant thing. He said, this article makes perfect sense if the audience he's targeting knows nothing about politics. So I suppose if you know nothing about either magic tricks or deception or sleight of hand or con men, the most basics, maybe this feels like there's more there. Or maybe that's part of the con. I don't know.
Right? Life would grind to a halt. And the last one is the most powerful one, which is social proof. And you're all doing it right now. We all do it. The idea that we constantly look to others around us for clues as to how to behave. Now, that's a very, very powerful thing. Because as a hustler, if I know that, all I have to do is manipulate your environment to get you to behave the way I want you to.
Yes.
A good example is people queuing in the airport, right? People who queue at gates when the plane hasn't even arrived. How does that happen? Well, watch it next time when you go on holiday in a couple of weeks. How it happens is one person starts and then another person goes, oh, well, maybe we should queue as well. And then people are like, well, there's 5 people queuing. Maybe we should join the queue. And before you know it, everyone's waiting for a plane that's going to take another 2 hours to arrive.
Usually there are like rope lines, though. So there's some actual physical hurting of people and everything. But no, this is also true. There was I heard one time from a guy who ran a nightclub. Said something to the effect of, I can't control people, but I can control the space in which the people move in. And so I can still tell them where to go, even if I can't, modify their behavior. At least they can't go anywhere I don't want them to. I think I'm flubbing that a little bit, but that's effectively what they were saying. And so, yeah, it's true. Yeah. Okay. All right. And
insane. Now, none of which I have told you is new. Okay?
No kidding.
It's been out there.
Yes.
What we need to come to terms with is this.
Okay.
For too long, we have been ignorant of these things, of how we function. And for too long, politicians, ad men, hustlers, magicians have been scrupulously studying these conditions and taking advantage of them.
And they still do, and they always will, because a sucker's born every minute.
So it's time we woke up to these techniques.
Woke? Uh-oh. Guys, we're about to get woke.
Now, you can use what I've shown you here for good and for bad. You can use it for good to promote your own narrative, your own stories, and use these techniques by all means.
And become a DEI consultant.
But you can also use them as a shield. Why? Because you can use these 5 principles to recognize scams.
Yes.
Next time somebody approaches you with a big opportunity that sounds a little bit dodgy and that pushes you to act quickly, well, you know it's a scam because 2 of those manipulating factors are in there.
Yes.
The thing we need to do is we need to arm ourselves with knowledge.
Okay, I'm 100% on board right now. Critical thinking. Taking a moment, considering what's being said, put it up against reality and so on and so forth. But I got to say that I have continually diminishing faith in people's ability to be that discerning about what's going on with, like I said, with the crypto coin scams and the NFTs and the Ponzi schemes over and over again. Somebody says, oh, I'm going to get you 10% return on your money each month or something. And well, wow, that sounds great. Oh my God, this is a miracle. And nobody stops saying, like, that doesn't make any sense. You can't guarantee returns like that. I just watched a video today about a Ponzi scheme that I'd never heard of before. It was about some guy. I think he just recently got prosecuted. And God, what was his name? Something Avery or something. Anyway, he played himself off as this upcoming movie star. And he actually ended up in a couple of movies or something as an extra or as in a low budget film or something. But what he was doing is he was selling people on the idea that if they invested money with him, he would then use this money to buy the license to small films that he would then sell those licenses to like Netflix and HBO or whatever to broadcast in Latin American countries or something. And it was just one big Ponzi scheme, one big promised return of amazing wealth and so on and so forth. And once again, even after stories like Madoff and Mark Dreyer and what was that one guy? There was this one guy, he was called the Mormon Madoff, just because I guess he was a Mormon, but he also did pretty much the same thing that Madoff did, was just a Ponzi scheme. Anyway, after all these stories over the last like decade or so, or hell, almost 20 years now, people still fall for this stuff, the too good to be true thing. And it's scary. It's scary that people are that, credulous. Is that the right? I believe that's the right way to say that. Anyway.
We need to start understanding what we use, how we use it, and what the vulnerabilities are.
Oh, Advocatus Diaboli, yes. Zachary Horowitz, a.k.a. Zachary Avery, or Zach Avery. That's right. Yeah, I just watched a video on that story today. I'd never heard of the guy until today, but it was the most bargain basement Ponzi scheme ever. And there you go, or the Billionaire Boys Club. You guys ever hear about the Billionaire Boys Club? That was out of the 80s, but it was effectively the same thing. Anyway.
Everybody in this room has got a smartphone, but none of us really know how they work. And more importantly, none of us know the vulnerabilities. Now, let's take a very simple example, simpler than a smartphone, okay? These locks, do you recognize these? These mechanical push-button locks, okay?
Yes.
Who's used one of these? Put your hand up. Pretty much everyone, right?
Keeverdam, Sean Merriman. Yes, that's what it was. Thank you. I remembered his nickname. I'm hearkening back to all the episodes of American Greed I watched back in the day, because some of them made more stark impressions than others.
Now, they're very, very good locks. They don't require any power. You can change the code hourly or whatever, minute if you like. You give the code out. It's for a transient workforce. You can change it whenever you like. People don't need a key. People don't need anything. The code usually works like this. You push C, and then you put a 4-digit code, and the door will open. But they have a vulnerability.
If you push the same buttons too many times, they get worn, or they get pushed in too much, something like that.
These locks can be broken in 2 minutes using a UV pen.
Okay, good, yeah.
Right? You go up to the lock, you put your UV ink all over the buttons. UV ink is invisible, so no one can see it. You wait for a couple of minutes until the lock is used once or twice. You go back with your UV light, and you find out which buttons have not got pen anymore because they've been used. Now, the more astute of you in this audience will say, yes, but you know the 4 digits that have been used, but you don't know the order. And this is where the vulnerability is. The order doesn't matter. If the code is 1234 and you enter 4321, the door will open. Any combination of that 4-digit code will open this door.
I did not know that. Well, not that it really matters, I guess, but that seems silly.
Now, I am not saying that these are terrible locks.
Well, they certainly have a vulnerability, but sure, okay.
They're very, very good locks. But now that I know their vulnerability, I use mine for my garden shed rather than an important room. So that's what we can do, arm ourselves with knowledge and facts when it comes to technical stuff, for example.
The only time I've ever, at least in my experience, seen those particular locks has been for like the restroom in an office building or something. Most of the locks that I deal with, when I deal with them or see them, it's usually like a pass card or an actual like electronic keypad or something like that, which I suppose the same trick could be used, but I think depends on the lock. Maybe they're like, denies any further use after a couple of tries are incorrect or something like that. I don't know.
Example. But also, when it comes to social media and news and politics, there is more that we should be doing. And I agree with earlier speakers here that we need to become a little bit more responsible and realize when we are being manipulated. Yes. A good friend told me, because I now do a radio show and I talk a lot about politics, a lot about Brexit, God help me. And he said to me, be careful. When you read headlines and news, be careful when you feel emotionally moved by the headline.
Yes.
And be even more careful when you agree with the headline.
Yes, we all have to take a moment. And I'm no saint on this myself. I've reacted to headlines before I've actually read the article, and I've been shown up many a time for having done so. And so I encourage everybody to definitely read an article, not just react to the headline. I still do it from time to time if I know enough about the story beforehand, but definitely something to keep in mind. And also don't trust just one source on such things either. Thank you, Keeverdam. Stream suspended for privacy violations. Are you kidding me? Can you guys see me, hear me? I don't know what's going on right now. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess I'm back. I'm not going to play any more of that video because I'm not quite sure what's going on or what happened. So video's done. Well, that was interesting. Yeah, see, this is what I was kind of afraid of in watching an actual TEDx talk that I found engaging and didn't find a whole lot of reason to have to interrupt. Probably let it go on too long. So far, I don't see, as far as I can tell, that I've received a strike of any kind on my channel. So I think it might have been just I let it go on too long and was effectively rebroadcasting the original. That's my guess. If that is the case, YouTube gods, I apologize. I apologize. And to the speaker and to TEDx, not my intention to simply rebroadcast a full thing, but I guess them's the breaks and that's the risk. So I guess the I guess the lesson here is if I start watching a TEDx and I find myself too engaged, I need to stop and just say, hey guys, the link to the original's in the description. Go watch it there. I'm going to stop now. Which it might be fair. Fair enough. I've got to give some kind of comment or commentary to make it a transformative work or whatever. So we'll call that there as far as watching this. Well, that was a learning experience. Thank you, YouTube. I'll remember that for the future. So even though it's kind of anticlimactic, something I definitely try to avoid in life and all things, let's move on, just for the hell of it, to the bingo card. I don't know that there'll be a whole heck of a lot to do here because, like I say, that was I mean, as far as content is concerned on the subject matter, we were probably just getting into the meat of it at that point, but he only had like 2 or 3 minutes left, so not sure how far he could have or would have gone. But I guess you'll have to find out for yourself by watching the original below. So let's get the bingo card updated here because it's going to be relatively short, I think, as far as that's concerned. This one here and that. All right, so we have, let me get this closed there and this closed as well. We have a list and free space. I'll go over the card one more time by myself. If you guys have any arguments for squares to be circled, we can cover those in a moment. Anecdote that probably never happened. Every story he told seemed forthright. It didn't seem like a, patting himself on the back or too good to be true kind of thing, especially the part where he screwed up the magic trick, so I'll take that. Self-vilification or wretchedness. Now, he said at the beginning that he had been a criminal at some point. He didn't elaborate. If I heard him correctly. Did I hear him correctly? So let me know. Let's see. Oh, and Keeverdam, by the way, I didn't... Let me find it again real quick because I know by then I was cut off, I think, when I read it. Keeverdam, thank you so much for letting me know the stream was suspended for, you said privacy was policy violation. Either way, same difference. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I was still going at that point. I didn't know. So thank you for that alert. I really appreciate it so much. Let's see. So did he call himself a criminal at the beginning? Yeah, I think he did. I think he said he'd been a criminal of some kind. So I'm just going to circle that one. And if I get corrected on it later, by all means. Systemic, institutional. Well, he was talking about, systems in the sense of cultural systems following the leader, that kind of thing. And so, and also like systems of authority. And of course, systems and doing magic tricks and so on. So I'm stretching it a little bit, but I don't feel too bad because this is probably not going to be a very, very heavy bingo card. Weightless example. The hand thing at the beginning felt really weightless because, I know it's thin. I might not even use it, but of everything that I saw, the one thing that just felt really out of place and kind of lame was that opening hand thing, because him changing the positions of his own hands as compared to the audience was so blatantly obvious that it really didn't make any kind of point to me. So that failed. I don't know if you guys want to call that a weightless example. Let me know. Word salad. No, I understood everything he said. A lot of it sounded relatively repetitive or, kind of weightless, I suppose, in a way, not an example. Leaves out vital context. For what he was talking about, I didn't feel like there was anything I was missing or needed more of. Because, the presentation was fairly basic. Con men bad, lying bad. Let me give you examples of deception. Okay, also get smarter about noticing these things. Like, okay, it's very, very basic, very reasonable. White supremacy, no. Privilege, no. Even though he brought up Bernie Madoff, he was just bringing up the most famous con man at the time. Sales pitch for product or service. Well, his TV show. He did bring up his TV show and played that up a bit. So I'll circle that. That's reasonable to me. Plays victim. I never got the sense that he was playing a victim. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. Not that I noticed. Wage gap. He talked about money and things, but not particularly, I guess, unless you want to get really, really abstract with the whole Madoff thing. Patriarchy, no. Feminism, no. Mind reading assumes motives. In the literal sense, yes, because he's using manipulation and so on and so forth to make people do what he wants or get the outcome that he's looking for. So in more of the, let's say, professional sense, he was admitting to doing these things and not so much as making a leap of logic like a lot of our speakers do. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And no. Marginalization. No. Argumentative non sequitur. Not that I noticed. Childhood or family anecdote. Surprisingly enough, he never brought up anything about his own growing up that I recall or anything. So I don't believe so anyway. Contradicts own point or argument. Now his argument was con men bad, get good scrub on noticing these things. So yeah. Benevolent condescension. I never got the sense that he was being condescending. It seemed to be genuine and forthright and informative. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. In the sense that he talked about people seeing someone with a badge or a vest or something and making assumptions and so forth, jumping to their own conclusions or selling themselves on a lie. So there's that. So there you go. That's my bingo card. If you guys have arguments for squares to be circled, and apologies for the truncated stream. That is a lesson I've got to learn. I thought I learned it, and I said it at the beginning. I was kind of afraid if I don't pause often enough, I'm going to get in trouble. So there you go. I'll just have to find more controversial fare for the future. Okay, so if you have a argument for a square to be circled, please put it in the chat now. If you put it in there and I've missed it, please just repost it, and I'll try to get to as many as I see. Somnambulation, any square needed for a bingo was achieved at the end of the video we missed, so go ahead and circle it. Nah, I can't. Only what I was able to see and listen to. So maybe there was an extra square there or two in there that I could have gotten if I watched the whole thing. But YouTube said no. YouTube said no. Let's see. Advocast Diabli. No, he proved he could manipulate the audience with the hand example. It was pertinent. Scribelight. Yeah, I haven't circled anything for it yet, but it was the point of it was that he was supposed to have shown off that he could do it while they couldn't, except that his setup was really sloppy as far as I was concerned. Like, so, I misdirected you and I was able to put my hands, like, I still saw that your hands were in the exact wrong position as compared to what you commanded the audience to do. So yeah, I don't know. Didn't really land with me. Let's see. All around pro. Yeah, you sound just like the dreading narrator. That must be the generic voice playing tricks on me. I sound like dreading? Really? Okay. I mean, I don't think my voice is quite that soothing or dark and mysterious. I've always been told I'm either like a Jordan Peterson impersonator or Kermit the Frog's older brother, but whatever. Let's see. Derek LaRue, maybe that was a sign his whole segment was pointless. I mean, it was, like I say, if no one had thought of these things before, then maybe it was informative, right? I suppose. As far as a commentary was concerned on deception, lies, and so on, it was all sort of common sense stuff, which obviously isn't common enough because we keep seeing people fall for this stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, as a TEDx, as even something that was either argumentative or educational or otherwise, it was more, it felt more like a stand-up act than it felt like a presentation trying to be informative. And maybe somehow this happened in the last 2 minutes of the presentation. I couldn't say. I really wish you would have picked like a really common scam that requires something more than just like a Ponzi scheme kind of thing and actually gone over it. Like one of the scams that has like a name like the Spanish Prisoner or something, and walked you through how that particular scam works or how the structure of a particular con job works, and point out as he goes where in each step his list of elements come into play. That would have been more interesting. That would have been a more interesting presentation. Let's see. I hear fuzz. What? Uh-oh. Is my sound going out now too? What's going on? What's going on? Can we get a, let's see, Derek LaRue, can we get a WTF for the downtime? You know, for that, I'll grant you that. This is, as far as I can tell, this is the first time in TEDx history I've ever been cut off in the middle of a broadcast. This happened once before when I was doing the Wasp Woman movie watch with everybody. I thought it was a public domain film, but apparently somebody decided to claim it in the middle of the broadcast. So, yeah, but as far as TEDx is concerned, this is a first. So, I'll give you that.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
So we have our WTF moment, if nothing else, for the sake of things. So, good call, Derek. I sound fine now. Okay, my sound was going all goofy. Great. What a broadcast. What a broadcast. Golly gee whiz. Cut off in the middle. Sound goes all goofy. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, I didn't have any control over these things, obviously, but as the presenter, as the entertainer, I feel a little bit feel like I've let you guys down. So I apologize for that. Hopefully next time I'll find something that requires me to stop it every 3 seconds and, lose my mind over what they're saying. But we'll see. Let's see. Anything else? Any other squares to be circled, guys? Again, this might be a relatively truncated episode just because of circumstances beyond my control. Shadowclaw, I came across Nigerian scams before. I've received... I got a scam email that was purportedly from YouTube a few years ago trying to get me to log into my account. But you see, this is where my English major pedigree came in, because as soon as I started reading the email, there were so many spelling and grammar errors that I knew something was wrong. And secondly, the logo on the email for YouTube was the old logo. It wasn't the logo that they were using at the time. It was a previous logo from years past. I at least recognize that part of that. I'm not going to be touching this one. And I remember I took a screenshot of it and I tweeted it out to Team YouTube to try to be helpful. Because being a helpful YouTuber, being an otherwise inoffensive YouTuber obviously has its benefits. Like being cut off in the middle of a stream. But I suppose depending on the circumstances, I could understand. Let's see. Keeverdam, I'm sure things will go back to normal when I go back to work and have to be excluded from the fun bingo game. Yes, Keeverdam, it's all your fault. You've cursed it by being here. How dare you? No. You're fine. Brad Young, Scribe, if you still like magic tricks, check out a guy called Apollo. I think the last name is Ono. Wasn't that like a speed skater or something? Wasn't that the name of like I read that name and I think of like skating and Olympics. Wasn't he in the Olympics or some guy named that or something similar? Am I completely off base? That was my first. I don't know why. That's just like random trivia in my head. If I'm completely off base, somebody let me know. But that's the first thing I thought of. Dixie Rose, it's almost as entertaining as your streams, but let's not let it happen again. I will do my best. Obviously, I will attempt. After Superpowers month, I'll go back to normal for a while. I think I might skip doing another theme month for a while because in the last 3 weeks, a lot of TEDx's have come through, new stuff with a lot of crazy things. So I might have to go back to doing the old school stuff after this. Let's see, Dr. Funkenstein. I look at the email address if it looks too if it looked too official. I go to directly. Yeah. So by the way, this is something that apparently has happened to a lot of YouTubers lately and might somehow link to some other people. There have been some very good scam emails in the sense that they are very difficult to spot as scams. Like the grammar is fine. The email address that you can see looks official, saying things like, oh, your channel has a copyright claim on it. You have to click here and do this and do whatever to fix your channel. And otherwise your channel is going to be shut down or something crazy like that. And some people who have known better have been caught by this or almost caught by it. And every time I get something like that, I always first just go to my account directly through the corporate site. And never do I click on anything through an email anymore that's trying to scare me. If the email is there saying, oh, your order's this or this, that, or the other, your account is blah, 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 anything like that, I always stop. And if it's obvious, I just ignore it. But if I'm not sure, I never click on anything in the email. That is a rule that everybody should adhere to as much as possible. If you get an email alerting you to a problem with your account, whatever it is, Amazon, YouTube, whatever, do not click any links in any emails that appear to be from an official source. Go directly to the corporate site, log into your account directly through the corporate site. Yeah, that is something that everybody needs to learn. Everybody needs to learn just to be on the safe side. Let's see. Well, I don't see any other arguments for squares to be circles. Yeah, relatively sparse night tonight, guys. I apologize. Not the most exciting bingo card, but hey, it was interesting. Good, bad, or indifferent, as long as it's interesting. And certainly this stream was interesting. Keeverdam, if I can bring this up here. There we go. I accidentally hit someone's car door handle with my car door in the parking lot due to the wind yesterday. It just makes it easier to want to start over someplace else. That's not your fault. That was an act of God. That was a curse of Mother Nature. Chicago Mike, same thing with text messages. Well, fortunately, I don't have a smartphone. I have a dumb phone. So if I get a text message, I can't click a link, even if they're included. I just have to read it and then go on with my day. But anyway, everybody, I'm going to call it here. Apologies again for the mismatch of a stream and a show. Hopefully we won't have that happen again. I will make more effort in the future to be aware that if I start watching a TEDx and I start becoming too interested in it or I have little to say about it, I'll just probably cap it. And I had a suspicion. I guess that's what I have to be aware of in the future. If I have a suspicion the TEDx is going to be good, I should bring a backup. But either way, again, there's a link in the description to the Discord for the channel. It's only good for 12 hours as of the start of the show. And the secret password to get approved on there, unless I recognize your nickname from somebody in the audience that I'm familiar with. It's always possible I might not be. The secret password is Bernie. So just go there, type in Bernie into the channel you do have access to, and either myself or one of my helpful moderators, which I very much appreciate, will give you access to the other channels so you can go nuts. Not too nuts. If it goes too nuts, I might just give it up, but we'll see. Also, please, if you haven't already, take a look at the fundraisers link to the top of the chat box. And if you can't donate or aren't able to, please be sure to share those links out on social media. I will enunciate every word for a moment so I don't sound like Sean Connery. But with that, everybody, I'm going to call it here. I want to thank you all for joining me for this interesting, if not entirely complete, TED Excellence episode. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, both in the chat and now, some of you over in the Discord, even though everyone here and hopefully on Discord are so well behaved, there's very little for you guys to do. Everybody who donated, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. And just a reminder, if there is a content creator out there that you like, whether it's me or somebody else, please be sure to share their stuff on social media, on Twitter, on LimeWire, on Napster, on ICQ, on MIRC, whatever the kids are using these days, because you guys certainly are the best algorithm. But with that, everybody, thank you again for joining me. I hope you're all having a great Thursday. Have a good rest of your week. Have a good Friday tomorrow. I hope you are all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.